Here's how we booked 15 qualified sales calls in 30 days with just 2 Twitter outreach accounts and barely any audience on either of the accounts. So most Twitter cold outreach doesn't work because it's either landing in spam, getting ghosted by your prospects, or it just doesn't convert cold leads into actual booked calls. And we wanted to turn Twitter into a lead generation platform and actually consistently book calls without spending money on ads or content or doing all of this and doing it all in an automated way, right? So we built our own Twitter outreach system, and all that we did on the profiles, that we warmed up the profiles with content, then sent personalized DMs using AI, and then just booked calls that way. And from these 15 booked calls that we got, we closed 4 sales, all from Twitter cold DMs. And here are some of the responses from our outreach. This lead actually ended up becoming a client of ours. He responded this and then he booked onto the calendar. Somebody else, Matthew, he has over 16,000 followers on Twitter. We had about 100 or 150 on our outreach accounts, and he still responded to our Loom lead magnet. I'm going to go over the exact offers that we use as well, so you can just copy and paste them. And then another marketing agency with 41,000 followers on their main Twitter profiles. They actually responded and ended up booking a call with us. Again, we have 150 followers, very low count, but we still booked calls with them. I'm going to show you what that we did step by step, the 4 steps, and going in depth into each one on how that we did this. First of all, as I just talked about, we posted content. It looked real. Whenever that you're making DMs on Twitter, on pretty much any social platform, people will click onto your outreach profiles, and if it doesn't look human, they're not going to respond. If it doesn't look like there's at least content or that there's something valuable on there, that your website works. We've seen so many times where people will outreach to us and their website doesn't even work. It goes to 404. And if that's you, then it's not going to work. So we made sure the website looked good, that we had content, that we had retweets, that we had likes, we had comments, all of these things that make it look real and make sure that the content is to your niche so you look like an authority. Maybe having a pinned post would have been even better. We didn't have this, but this is what that we're doing now, and just to build more authority. Number 2, we send DMs to our exact ICP and we made smaller lists. So our lists were anywhere from 500 to 1500 profiles in total. So it wasn't really big lists at all. And we did this because we wanted to actually iterate faster, but also we segmented the list by specific kind of key things like founders and co-founders versus growth operators, right? There's subtle small things that would make the messaging different for them, even though we might be pitching them on the exact same offer, right? Number 3 was that we made low risk offers. I'm going to talk about this more, but one-time setups, performance basis, and lead magnets to show your value up front is a really good way to actually go about cold outreach and getting cold prospects to actually convert. Because if we try to pitch them on a recurring service monthly for our actual cold outreach service without having any proof or any value up front, it would be extremely hard. It would be doable, but it's just much harder to get prospects to say yes. And number 4, very overlooked, we made sure our DMs were not getting sent into the spam folder. So unlike what most people think, this is actually the main folder that you want to be hitting. It's the message request folder, and Twitter wants you to see these because they have a little blue icon and they actually show one new request, right? It's like one new DM. However, most people, including our competitors that we've seen, they'll be doing outreach for either themselves or their clients, and it'll be landing in the spam folder, which is below this, and Twitter marks as, hey, there might be graphic content or they might be automated, content or automated spam in here. So they automatically filter it out for you because they don't want you to see it, and therefore nobody will see your message. And if it's in spam, you're not going to get any replies at all. So it's not really possible to actually scale that, right? So we've seen our competitors and their clients, they land in our own spam inboxes, which means that their outreach is not working. I'm going to explain why that is and how that we kind of have avoided that completely. Here's our outreach process. So as I talked about, branded accounts with actual content and comments looks real, completely to your actual business. So that's what we did. It was very simple. We verified them with phone, so a real phone SMS verification, an email, and we proxied them. Proxies are just a very complicated way, people will actually say IP infrastructure or all of this. All that means is that, let's say if you are in your house and you make 10 Twitter accounts, they're all linked to your one IP. So it looks very fishy to Twitter and it looks very weird, right? However, if you make one proxy for each of those 10 accounts, so you buy proxies, you get 10 unique proxies, you then connect to Twitter that way, it looks like it's actually one unique household connecting to Twitter instead of a bunch of different ones. And it's also very important that you get the right kind of proxies, right? So that's very technical, but we got the right kind of proxies that made sure that even if you get sometimes proxies, right, that are, it says that these are high quality and all of that, you need to know for the right place to go for them, because otherwise you might be sharing proxies with other people and then you still get banned and it's just a really bad process. So you need to know where to get them, and we got the correct kinds of proxies. Number two was lead sourcing. So we pulled leads based off where that our ICP hangs out on Twitter, which posts that they actually interact on, who that they follow, who that they're following, all of these things, right? And we made really small lists, as I talked about, but because of this, we had really precise targeting and we knew their pain points. If we were reaching out to SaaS founders versus maybe coaches, SaaS founders probably care more about things like MRR, ARR, new demos for their product, especially B2B SaaS. But if it's a coach, it might be something different, right? It's a different language that you're talking to, even though the actual core offer is the same. And this is pretty important. I would rather have smaller lists, refill the lead list more often, than make bigger lists and get worse results. Number three was high volume and high personalization outreach. So we were using AI to personalize all of these messages. It felt very one-to-one. And we went even beyond just this. So we obviously know the first name. We also put, do you want to get onto more calls with, and then we inserted their ICP, Matthews, with SaaS founders. And it felt personalized, but we've also done campaigns where it's like their company name and a case study that they have from their website saying, hey, saw that you did this, blah, 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 right? So it feels very personalized. Almost nobody's doing this on Twitter and not landing in the spam folder. So because of this, obviously we were getting results. And 250 to 350 DMs per day per account. As you may or may not know, the DM limit on Twitter for every account is 500. The problem with this is that if you send out 500 and you then want to follow up with new leads, or you have to respond with them, well, you don't have any new DMs to be sending out for that day, and therefore you might just get banned. The second thing is that when you send 250 to 350 DMs per day, you are way below the actual sending limit, so it looks way less suspicious to Twitter. And that's one thing why that we don't get sent in spam, because we just scale across more accounts instead of scaling up the volume by 2x, right? Iteration. So we tested a lot of different offers. This is one thing that really helped us. The offer is very important. The lead list is very important. So those are two things that we focused on as I talked about smaller lead lists. So here are three different kinds of offers that we tested. And I'm pulling out these three and not, other offers, because number one, it shows that, your first offer probably won't be the best. Second of all, we also know that some of these offers can be used in other B2B businesses. So not just like, anybody can offer a lead magnet. Maybe you cannot offer, free leads because that's not what your business does. But the concept of a lead magnet is still there. So for our free leads lead magnet, we gave them a couple hundred free leads from Twitter that were their ICP, right? So this one got really high reply rate. Our benchmark is 3%, and really high positive reply rate because our benchmark is 50%. So this almost 2x'd both of those. The problem was that this wasn't really converting because a lot of freebie seekers were just wanting free leads and nothing else, and they just left, right? Number two is that it was really hard to convert people from saying, hey, we have free leads, to, hey, do you want to get onto a call for us to set up your whole Twitter outreach system, right? That was a problem on our end, that obviously this was one of the first offers that we tested. And when this happened, we thought, wow, there's a lot of replies, positive replies. But because not many people converted from positive replies to booked calls, it was not very useful at all. We might have gotten 2 booked calls. We weren't tracking this extensively when we first started, as now, like we have like the whole campaign management and all of that. So we should have done that, but we can't really know. We do know that these were not qualified though. Number 2 was 100% pay per result. This got, pretty much benchmark actual kind of reply rates. And, if you actually wanted to do this and there were no issues, you could, just scale this up a lot, because you send out 2,000 DMs, you get 28 positive replies per day. You can just keep on scaling that up and you will at least get 1 call booked from this, right? Probably more than that though. Anywhere from 2 to 4 would be reasonable to get with that. The problem with this was that for us, it was a lot of upfront work, not only just time, setting up the accounts, the campaigns, warming them up, as I talked about with the content and proxies and stuff, but the prospects were not committed. So we would say, okay, great, let's get onto a call this week so we can figure out your ICP and stuff, so then we can start the campaigns, and they didn't really want to do it. So what we should have done instead with this was that we should have done a small one-time setup fee, and then pay per results, so pay per booking, pay per, lead closed or whatever. That would have been better. Then they have some buy-in, which is why this one worked well. On paper, it doesn't look like it did well. It looks like it obviously did worse than this pay per result one. But because the people who were responding to this, it was just a plain one-time setup offer. We told them in the DM, hey, it does cost money. Like, it is a one-time setup fee, a one-time setup. they knew that they were going to have to spend money up front. These ones had no money to spend up front because we said it was pay per result, right? And then these ones were just a free lead magnet, so it was just free stuff again, right? But when we led with this, we got we got less positive replies in total, but we got more qualified ones because they knew that they had to invest something up front, and it was much easier to convert these onto calls. And we used Hormozzi's value equation, as you may or may not know. We were really trying to decrease the two variables on the bottom, which is what that we were trying to do with the lead magnet. But something that we learned as well is that you can have the most value in the world, and like let's say your lead magnet, but if they don't convert very well, or if it's not a logical transition from your lead magnet to your call with your offer and a sales call, then it's really difficult for that to perform well, even though it might be very valuable. So that's something that we learned, and that's why we kind of transitioned off of this free leads offer. And here were the results. So we didn't track the first few thousand DMs, so we don't have exactly to the DM how many that we sent. But this after that we added tracking in very shortly after. 14,300 DMs, 429 replies, 209 positive replies, and 15 calls booked from this. So this means about every 1,000 to 1,500 DMs, we were booking calls, which was pretty good. Like every 2 days, pretty much, we were booking a call with just 2 Twitter outreach accounts. And obviously now we're scaling that. But that is what happened. And this is aggregating all of the campaigns together. So the free lead magnet one, the pay per results one, and all of the other offers that we tried. This is putting them all together. So that's why it might look a bit weird, like metrics and conversions wise. But that is how that we did it. And with just 2 Twitter outreach accounts, 150 followers on each, just pure cold outreach at its best with a strong offer and using our outreach system. So if you want to implement this system into your business, there will be a booking link below this video. We will set it up completely done for you for a one-time fee, and then you can just go on and use the system forever. So you don't have to worry about managing it or making sure, oh, how do I get results? It's already done for you for one time, and then you keep it for life. Hopefully that makes sense. If you're interested, booking link is below, and that's about it.